Maria Sanchez with KADYTV.com. Thank you so much for joining us. I hope you've been watching from the beginning on. We're visiting with Scott Harris, who is the owner of Mustang Marketing, but Scott is in studio as our political correspondent. We're speaking about each individual proposition. We're attempting to do so in as an unbiased, objective, nonpartisan manner so that you can have some more information than maybe which may have jumped off the pages for you, for those of you who did get your election guide. And we are going to be speaking now about Proposition 22. So
Absolutely.
Thank you.
Thank you for having me on. I very much appreciate it.
You're more than
Looking forward to
welcome.
the conversation. And for those who are watching, I just want to say, if you're watching this, you've got to be serious about voting, because Prop 22 is not a glamour proposition. Prop 22 is an in the trenches proposition. So I'm going to read it. It takes a few seconds, and then we can begin to discuss it. Prop 22 prohibits the state from borrowing or taking funds used for transportation, redevelopment, or local government projects and services, and it'll be a constitutional amendment. So what's happened is, in the last few years, is the state struggled financially. Mm-hmm. They're desperate to get money from anywhere, so they're grabbing from wherever they can. Well, a lot of our taxes go through the state and then come back down into the cities. And the state has said, you know what, we're going to collect it and we're not going to give it to you. We'll owe it to you down the road, like the promises they've made to education,
right,
where the governor's pulled a couple $2 billion here and a couple $1 billion there and said, we'll give it back to you when we're flush again. The old, I forget the exact, I will gladly pay you for 2 hamburgers on Tuesday for 1 hamburger today, or whatever it was. That's kind of what the state's been doing. So they've been reaching into every pot they can to try to keep the state functional. Unfortunately, some of those pots, and this isn't about Prop 19, this is still Prop 22, some of those pots are money that the cities and counties need to keep things going, and they're not getting that money. So we passed, in 2004, we passed Prop 1A, and in 2006, we passed, conveniently, the same thing, Prop 1A. And both of those put limitations on the state being able to take the money. But the state's very smart. They have good attorneys, they've got smart people, and they found ways to circumvent those. So they found ways to take that money, even though we've designated the money to go in this pot. Twice in the last 6 years, we've said you can't go into this pot. The state continues to go into the pot and take the money. And so now Prop 22 is theoretically, because it's a constitutional amendment, is the final one where
Enough.
the state cannot get to the money.
In spite of their bright minds.
In spite, yeah, exactly.
Okay.
So it's a sad thing that happens. The people that are in favor of it are saying, well, we're in favor because it's our money.
Right.
The people voted it. They paid their taxes. It's where they want. They've twice, in 2004 and 2006, made it clear they want the money to stay in the pot that they designated. There's no increase in taxes. It doesn't change anything. Just make sure we get our money. The people who are against it, again, if you take the time to read your pamphlet, it's a pretty good read. Maybe I am a wonk, but it's an interesting read. Their argument is that the money that's being taken, stolen, some would say, out of the pot is going for good things. It's going for education. It's going for public safety. It's going for good things.
So it's Robin Hood-ish.
So exactly. So we've decided that we know better than you do where your money should go.
Right.
So we're going to tax you. You're going to tell us where you want the money to go. You're going to reconfirm that twice with propositions that have passed. And even still, we just don't trust you.
We're just going to do what we think is necessary
exactly,
anyway.
Exactly. And you know that the same people that are in Sacramento making that decision, if they were down here as city council members or county supervisors, they'd be arguing the opposite case. Right. They just want the money. Right? I mean, it doesn't do me any good as a state assemblyman to say we ship that money down to the city of Ventura. It does me a lot of good to say we gave that money to welfare, to education, to public safety, to the prisons, to something that I can go to the ribbon cutting for.
Even though it wasn't earmarked for that.
And not just earmarked, there were laws against it.
But they're saying we have a higher calling, if
they're
you will,
saying,
or a higher
They're
good.
saying that we have the money, we're just not going to give it to you. The old, it's the kids thing, that 90% of the, what's the old kids cliche? Possession is 90% of the law. Right? And that's what they're saying is the money has to come through us because legally that's the way the taxes go, and we want it.
So who would be against this?
The people that would be against it are the people in Sacramento that control the money.
Yeah, but they're not the voters.
Well,
they're just some of us. In
fact,
they represent us.
The unions are against it. There's about 6 or 8 major unions in the state of California. They're all against it. The reason they're all against it is because the money that's being stolen or being diverted or being temporarily borrowed goes to union things. It goes to teachers. It goes to prison guards. So they want that money there. The newspapers, the Democrats don't want it. right? And this is the one, by the way, that the Republicans were afraid to take a position on. This is the one proposition Republicans have not come out and said anything about, because they just don't want to get mixed up in this battle. They don't want to be on record as saying that cities have a priority over the state or anything along those lines.
But, Scott, correct me if I'm wrong, it's not like the cities are asking for something that they're not entitled to.
No, they're
asking for what they are mandated
They're asking for their paycheck.
Right.
They're saying, we've done the work, the law says we get paid this much, and now it's the second Friday of the month, and you're telling me you may or may not pay me? We had a deal. I work 40 hours a week, you pay me. We had a deal. We have these propositions that passed. This money is due to me. I have a responsibility to my constituents, and you have to give me the money now. And the state's saying, nah, we're really not going to do that. Now, Meg Whitman supports this. The Libertarians support it. Governor Brown, you chastised me earlier, so I won't say afraid. Governor Brown has chosen not to take a position on this.
Okay.
A local group, VCETA, which is the County Economic Development Group, supports this. The California Chamber and the Howard Jarvis Taxpayers Organization support it. So the people who want responsibility, they want the money to follow the law, are in favor of this. It's no new money being raised, by the way. For those of you that are watching right now, this is no increase in taxes, no increase in fees, no additional monies to any of us. It's money that you've already voted to go somewhere and then voted twice to remind people that you want it to go there. This is just a third time of saying, please put the money into transportation, redevelopment, and local government, which is what I voted for it to do, which is one of my beefs with the proposition system, is none of them are written well enough that they can't be circumvented. So this is now the third time that the people of California in 6 years have voted on this exact same thing. And each time saying, regardless of whether I supported the earlier propositions or not, the state voted to put them in place, give them the money. This one's a constitutional amendment. So theoretically, if this passes, this will really do it. Money designated for redevelopment, money designated for transportation will actually go there.
So I'm mad as hell, and I'm not going to take it anymore.
Pretty much.
For the third time.
For the third time. I'm consistently mad as hell.
Yeah.
At some point, I would like to not be, and maybe if 22 passes, I won't. Exactly.
No wonder people are frustrated.
It is very frustrating.
So that's Proposition 22, and I'm so glad that you really clarified a lot of things for me, distilled it, and I appreciate that, and hopefully that's been the experience for our viewers as well.
Perfect.
So we will continue our conversation next week with Scott Harris, the owner of Mustang Marketing. You're watching Maria Sanchez on KADYTV.com. Thank you for your time.